In this video, we're going to take a look at the EZ inverted L for 160 meters as designed by Steve Carr, NE0U. I installed one of these antennas at my station yesterday, and we're going to take a look at it today. Now, all the details as far as the technical specifications are found in the March and April 2011 edition of the National Contest Journal. That's where this article was printed. Okay, here is my 80-meter WAR that many of you are familiar with. And to the west, there's another tall tree right there, and that's where the NE0U EZ-L is located. This main radiating element here, just some antenna wire I got from DX Engineering, and it goes up the tree 53 feet, and that's measured. And it's right about there. And all I did was use an insulator because that's a 53-foot section, but this is an L-shaped antenna, so the wire actually continues down to the south, actually to the northeast. Okay, now we're looking southwest. We're gonna go up the tree, and the point where I was just at is right here, and the wire runs all the way down across up to this point right up there, and it's right in between that kind of Y that the tree trunks are forming there. And I've got an insulator, and it was a bit of a struggle to get these support lines up. And let me show you something else. I am actually using a tree that's a neighbor's. Fortunately, that's the antenna of WX0V, and he's allowing me to use his tree. I do not have enough property to install a 160-meter antenna, and you may not either, but I highly suggest you speak to your neighbors before running any support lines or wires up in their trees. Now, George is a ham radio operator. He actually jokingly got mad at me for even bothering to ask him if I could do it, so he was totally cool with it, but your neighbors may not be. So definitely check with them before doing this. Before we take a look at more detail of the feed point, I do want to note that the length of this total antenna is a guesstimate of about 125 feet. I know this vertical element here going up into the tree is 53 feet because I was able to measure that. But when we go now down towards the northeast, back towards where the antenna is mounted, right in there where it ends, right in there, my guesstimate is it's about 125 foot long. At the base here, I've just got this block that my neighbor Scott gave me, and I've got this little box I put over it to protect it. But this is just a piece of aluminum, and we've got the ground going to the aluminum, and we've got the antenna here going to the main element, the element I should say, and I've just got an insulator there. I used a crowbar to hold it into the ground, hold it in place. Very redneck. My my grounding rod here, there's a 4-foot grounding rod here, which Steve mentions in his article. I didn't have the right bolt for it, so I rednecked that, but it worked. And then this conduit box, there's nothing in here as far as balun or transformer or anything. It's just an SO239 going to these two connectors. But I do want to note this pink colored cable here. This is a choke balun that I bought from Wireman. I believe it was 8231. I think that was a part number, but I don't remember for sure. But this is something Steve highly recommended in his article, to use this choke balun to help the antenna become more efficient. So I decided to take his advice and use that. And you can see there's a ground radio. Now the NE0U EZ-L suggests only using one ground radio, and there's where it is. And let's take a look at where that runs. All right, here's the ground radio coming from the feed point. You might even be able to see it as I move the camera. And this is actually bending west-southwest, and then I'm going to make a turn, and it's going to head that way, which is south, and the total length of the ground radio is 130 feet. It actually does stretch a little bit into my other neighbor's property, but he's okay with that. Again, get your neighbor's permission before using their property for antennas. And what I do to keep this in place is I'm using DX Engineering ground staples. Might be able to see it right there, and that keeps it in place, although I will be lifting this up for the summer months. Now, Steve NE0U recommends you go as straight as possible. But because of an existing ground radial system from both my WAR and my DX Engineering MBVE2 vertical, I didn't want the ground radials to cross. I think someone told me that that's not a good idea, so that's why I decided to work this ground radial for the EZ-L around that ground radial field from the existing antennas. Okay, let's take a quick look at the performance of the NE0U EZ-L. We are on the low side of 160 meters in the CW portion. I'll send a little code here. I don't know if you looked, the SWR right there, it's a flat match. Well, if you try this, I hope it works. Until then, 73 from WX0V.